Someone here for a Smackdown review, the first episode inside the Thunderdome. If you wanted to see if anything was going to change, if this was going to be better than what we've seen since April, since it's not the PC anymore, and it doesn't feel like... I'd say that's the only thing that really was good about the Thunderdome was it's not the PC, it was more open, and that's it. It didn't make the creative better. It didn't make them show more logical. It didn't make this like anything else better. This show, for all intents and purposes, was shit. Absolute shit. Now, we open the show with Vince McMahon. Not the Vince McMahon entrance from the ramp, which I don't know why they didn't do that. But he's in the middle of the ring. He introduces us. He welcomes us to the Thunderdome. Says, no one brings the thunder like WWE. God, I wonder how long Vince McMahon couldn't wait to get that out of his mouth. Which is why we'll never see it coming this Sunday at SummerSlam, which I still don't know what that tagline means. Which is also why every week, and then all of a sudden, out came the Fiend. Not usually how the Fiend does, where he shows up. They actually did the entire Fiend's entrance, which... Since he's having a match at SummerSlam against Braun Strowman, why would you waste his entrance for the first time in the Thunderdome on Smackdown? Now, I will say, because they do have these HD LED screens with these fans on them, when entrances happen, the fans disappear, and you see the entrances. You see, the entrance video. And when the Fiend is coming down... You see many versions, you see his face all over it. It's very creepy. My question is again, why would you go and waste that tonight and not wait till Sunday? It made no sense. So he gets in the ring and I'm like, well, this is interesting. What's he going to do to Vince McMahon? So Vince McMahon, he's standing across from Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon takes a step back. Fiend takes a step forward. Vince goes to the left, Fiend goes to the left. Vince goes to the right, Fiend goes to the right. And then the Fiend sticks his tongue out, laughs, and then Braun Strowman comes out. So I was sitting there and was like, oh, please, just have the Fiend put the mandible claw on Vince McMahon. It would make everyone's day, and it would be freaking awesome. But no, of course, out came Braun Strowman. Then, after Braun Strowman comes out, they're in the middle of the ring. And what happens? The lights flicker. And then and I'm like, there's no way you're going to have Retribution come out right now, are you? But no, they were there. And it wasn't 5. It wasn't even 10. There was probably at least 20 people dressed up like Retribution on this show. On this thing. So, Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt are looking at each other. Braun Strowman's like they're both nodding, and then Bray Wyatt puts the hurt glove up, waves bye-bye, lights go down, lights come back up, the Fiend is gone. Braun Strowman is on his own. Everybody attacks him like he's a fresh thing of meat. And they're attack dogs, hungry as hell. They beat him down. The SmackDown locker room finally comes out after weeks and weeks of this nonsense. And eventually, everyone comes down. They beat the hell out of him. They beat the hell out of Retribution. Retribution finally leaves. And that is all we see of this group. Now, this would have been the perfect time to unmask one member of Retribution. One. So we could have, the de facto leader. Or, somebody, the talking head. It could have been anybody. Dominic Dijakovic, Tommaso Ciampa. Anybody. They could have just had somebody lose their face mask, and that person's in Retribution. But no. They don't even know who it's going to be yet. This has been going on for almost a month, and they still don't know who's going to be in this group. And yes, that's the only time this entire night we saw Retribution. Okay, what are we doing? Now, as Michael Cole would note during the next match, we didn't really get to see, we haven't heard anything from them. They haven't told us. They haven't addressed what they're doing, why are they doing it. It's just it's just everyone guessing, why is Retribution doing this? And it is, I couldn't tell you. I honestly couldn't tell you. So, let's think here. This is just, I can't wait for this Retribution stuff to be over. It just needs to go. Just needs to be gone out of here. It's not working. There are a bunch of children there are a bunch of school bullies who beat up on somebody when there's a ton of them, and when they have to face the consequences of people coming to fight back, they run like little children. That's all this is. It's ridiculous, and I don't know why they need to do this. Now, then we get out of all of this, well, Braun Strowman's down, Drew Gulak and others try to help him up. Braun Strowman gets up, he's acting like normal Braun Strowman for a second, and then he gets up, gets back to that face of, not like we saw last week, grabs Gulak, throws him around, throws Jamie Uso over the top rope, and then he leaves. So we get Sheamus versus Big E. Why? Because what happened last week with Big E getting booted in the face by Sheamus after his match. So apparently, there's problems there. So we come back, and Sheamus and Big E have a match. They argue in the ring. The ring is surrounded by superstars to prevent another Retribution attack. Now, these guys are having themselves a match here. We get to a commercial break, and before we get to commercial break, it looks like Sheamus is about to do something, and the lights flicker again. Oh my God, is Retribution going to do anything? But no, we get nothing. None of that. So, what happened basically is, Matt Riddle is on the outside, and Baron Corbin attacks him from behind. And then you have a brawl between him and Matt Riddle, and they're trying to pull each other apart. Sheamus gets into this for whatever reason, and Big E ends up rolling up Sheamus for the 1, 2, 3. So after the match, Big E stands tall. Tucker and Otis enter the ring to dance with Big E as Sheamus fumes on the ramp. Still to come, we see Jeff Hardy taking on Intercontinental Champion AJ Styles. Cole says there's a developing story in the back. He sends us to the trainer's room, and we see Jeff Hardy getting his leg checked on. He says someone fell on him from behind, but that's not all he knows. He asks the medics if they can give him a brace or something because he can't miss tonight's match. Now, WWE could have done something about this and go, you know what? This is a way to get this match called off tonight, and the medical guys say he'll be good in 2 days, but he needs to rest tonight and tomorrow. And they could have got this for SummerSlam, but no. They decided they're going to have this match tonight, and we'll talk about it later. Smackdown Tag Team titles, Lucha Bros. I'm sorry, they wish they were Lucha Bros. Lucha House Party versus Cesaro and Nakamura. Before this match happened, Lucha House Party is walking backstage. SmackDown Tag Team Champion Cesaro and Nakamura drop Lince Dorado and Grand Metalik from behind. Kalisto checks on his partners as the champs walk off. Now, why are these guys deserve a match? I just, like, the Lucha House Party have not been seen very often until recently, and now they're getting a tag team title opportunity. This is all we have is the Lucha House Party, Miz and Morrison, and Cesaro and Nakamura. This is why we need to merge the tag team divisions. You don't have a tag team division on Raw. You don't have a tag team division on SmackDown. You merge them together, and you have yourself a pretty decent division. And then when the New Day get back into it, and the Usos get back into it, that's a much better division. But no. So, back from break, and Lee does the introductions, Greg Hamilton does, and we get this match. Now, I don't know, again, why this match needed to happen. It was a match that just didn't have any business being here. But Dorado counts Cesaro, and really not really much about this match that needed to be seen. Sending him and flying through the ropes. Metalik comes in and runs, leaping off the top rope to drop Cesaro onto the floor. This was the only talking point about this match, except for what happened afterwards, was that Metalik goes to do a Hurricane Runner on the outside, and to Cesaro, and he hits the mat. He mistimed this or what? I don't know what the fuck happened, but his head, you hear the flap. You just hear the, like, if you ever watch amateur wrestling and you see somebody get slammed and you hear the flapping, like them flap on the floor, this sounded brutal. You could hear Metalik head smack on that floor. It was not fun. So he's done. He is done for this school. This match. So Nakamura takes advantage and hits the reverse exploder onto Dorado, and then he goes to the floor and for whatever reason kicks Metalik, who is down and out. He's not getting back up. Keeping him down, Nakamura returns to the ring, goes for the Kamchacha, but Dorado rolls him up for a 2 count. Dorado catches Nakamura with the springboard stunner. Nice little counter right there. Cesaro ends up tagging in. Dorado doesn't see this. In the first place, they tangle on the trade rolls-ups. They go on and tangle some more. That sequence ends with Cesaro rolling through, and getting a pin to retain the titles. So Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro can retain with a roll-up. After the match, though, Cesaro and Nakamura leave. Now, Kalisto's down there. He looks jacked. I don't know what he's been doing on his time off, but the dude looks like a comic book guy. Like a comic book character with how jacked he is. He's wearing his jacket still with the long thing. He takes that off and throws it away. Gets into the ring. Gets into it with Lince Dorado. He's yelling at him. He's saying stuff in Spanish, which I can't understand what he's saying because I don't speak a lick of Spanish. And they're arguing. Gran Metalik gets in between them. They're still arguing back and forth. And it looks like the Lucha House Party might be on the road to ending with Kalisto going on his own. And right now, Kalisto is definitely in the way of not needing Lucha House Party. Kalisto really didn't need the Lucha House Party. The Lucha House Party needed Kalisto. We see Jeff Hardy backstage getting it checked again. Cole shows us footage from earlier in the night where Hardy his knee was injured with the melee with Retribution. The footage shows that AJ Styles was throwing a member of Retribution into the ring post, into the ring corner, or the ring apron. And then throws him down on the mat. And then he turns around and sees Jeff there. And then he kicks Jeff in the back of the right knee. And Jeff Hardy is injured. He's going to be injured going into his match. Now, WWE logical booking. Who do you think is going to win that match tonight? I'll give you until I get to that match to give you that answer. Now, AJ Styles is interviewed by Caleb Braxton. He says he was trying to show urgency with Retribution, but Hardy got in the way. He knocks Hardy for wasting his career and his opportunities. AJ mocks Hardy some more and walks off. AJ stops when he sees the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. He jokes with Bayley and Sasha Banks about who looks better with their titles. They take their singles titles and clang them together, and he walks away, and that is going to be that for that section. Back from break, and Cole hypes the Thunderdome. By the way, if you want to have some fun for this show and you want to have some fun, every time somebody mentions the word Thunderdome, you take a shot. And tell me if you get drunk by the end of that 2 hours. Because I swear it was at least 10 or 12 times you heard Thunderdome from Cole, Vince McMahon, Caleb Braxton, or anybody else. So, Caleb Braxton is now backstage with Mandy Rhodes. She asks about Sonya Deville, which Rose mentions this has been a rough week. If you don't know, and you don't know what's going on, I'm going to talk about this on Sunday morning. The fact that Sonya Deville her house was invaded by somebody else who has been stalking her, has been planning for 8 months to harm her, finally enacted on that, and Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose, I'm going to break kayfabe right now just because I can. Mandy Rose was in the building at the time, but they got away, called the police, and this person was arrested. So it's been a rough week for both of them. I don't like how WWE wants to bring this into the storyline. I don't like it at all. This is not something we need to see be brought in. Now, it's going to be interesting what Sonya Deville says later on in the show, but Mandy doesn't know what it is, what's in Sonya's head, but she knows how she feels. She goes on how they were once best friends for good and bad. Says she needs to speak directly to Sonya. Turns to the camera and says they've been through a lot. She mentions the vicious hair versus hair match coming up at SummerSlam. Goes on and says she wants to put it all behind them and get back to where they were. And says she chooses to see the good in Sonya Deville. So, after everything that happened tonight, I wonder if we're still getting the hair versus hair match, or are they going in a different direction? We'll talk about that in a bit. Back to Renee and Corey Graves waits for the Women's Tag Team Champions to come into the ring. And he welcomes them into the Thunderdome. So again, take another shot. And has to know one thing. Are they splitting up? Why he asked that question outright is beyond me. They both say no. Grace then brings up how they both will defend their titles against Asuka on Sunday. He brings up Asuka probably leaving SummerSlam with both goals, but Bayley says no chance. Now, the interview continues to go on, and Banks tells Grace to quit stirring the pot because they will destroy Asuka on Sunday, and Bayley says everything they do is for the company, which is why they have all the gold. Graves brings up how Bayley offered to face Asuka first at SummerSlam, which is not true. Banks, on Monday, suggested maybe she should go first, and Bayley was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll take her on first. That's what happened. Bayley says this was just a suggestion, as Banks is just as capable at going first. And just the look on Sasha Banks' face of disgust. It's just a suggestion. The cracks are starting to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Graves asks if he sensed a disagreement again and says Bayley says no. Bayley goes on about how they are but no one in the locker room can touch them. And you can just see while she's trying to go, she's like, as soon as she said just a suggestion, and Banks is like, just a suggestion, Bayley immediately goes into damage control mode. Like, oh shit, I pissed off my best friend, and I gotta sit there and trying to make it seem like I'm gonna go first no matter what, it's fine. But no. Out comes Naomi. Naomi proposes that she faces both of them tonight so you can settle this difference. They agree, which Naomi asks which one of her wants to face her first. They argue some more, and Graves suggests, well, why not do a beat the clock challenge? Naomi likes that. She asks, which one of you wants to go first? Before Bayley and Sasha Banks can answer, drop kick to both women. We go to break. And we come back, beat the clock challenge, and the beat the clock challenge is because the winner of the beat the clock challenge gets to face Asuka second. The loser, of course, will have to face her first. So Bayley will have the second match. Sasha Banks will be going first. So this was a pretty decent match. Naomi doesn't get enough credit. I know why people did the Naomi deserves a chance tweet a couple weeks ago. She is good. She should be up there with the Baileys, with the Sasha Banks, with the Becky Lynches, with the Charlottes, with the Shayna Baszlers, with the Asukas. She should be up there. But she's not. And she should be. And after tonight, she should be for sure after the Bayley match, the match she had with Bayley. And the match she had with Sasha. The match with Sasha and her was good. I wish it wasn't a beat the clock and they could have went for as long as they needed to, because I would love to see a feud with Naomi going up against either one of these women, beating, just having a couple months long feud, maybe from SummerSlam going to the Royal Rumble. So they're going back and forth here. The match is going, and Banks finally gets the Banks statement on in a very special and interesting way, getting the tap out at 3 minutes and 39 seconds. So Bayley has to beat 3:39 or she'll be facing Asuka first. Bayley immediately gets in the ring, attacks Naomi. Referee backs off and is like, wait a minute, I gotta check to see if she's okay to be able to go. After a minute or two, the referee swings the bell. They have their match. They go at it for a bit. Naomi hits the rear view. 1, 2, 3 with 1:44 left on the clock. Naomi is your winner. Now, as the match goes 1, 2, 3, the bell rings, they go over to Sasha Banks, who has this smile, this big smile on her face, knowing she beat Naomi. Bayley could not. Bayley lost in the tag team match on Monday. Bayley lost in the Beat the Clock challenge tonight by getting beat. Bayley is going... I have a feeling Bayley's going to win her match. This just tells me even more that she's going to win on Sunday. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But Bayley and Sasha Banks are going to go out there and have themselves... It's going to be interesting to see what happens going into SummerSlam. But it was just the fact that Naomi leaves and Sasha Banks comes in. And she's still got this glow of, like, I don't have to face Asuka first. And then she goes down and she, like, acts like she's, like, caring about Bayley. She's going in between, happy that she won the Beat the Clock challenge and doesn't have to face Asuka first, and trying to care for Bayley. She's going in between those two. Then all of a sudden, Asuka's music hits. And Asuka comes out. Sasha Banks isn't happy. So Asuka says that she says a bunch of stuff in Japanese, as she always does. I can't understand what she says. It says she will be the empress of every title at SummerSlam because no one is ready for Asuka. Asuka drops the mic, dances around on stage, and then Sasha Banks runs up, gets kicked in the head after Asuka ducks her. Then she goes into the ring, sliding knee to Bayley, kicks her a couple times. Bayley finally gets out. Grabs her title, grabs her tag team championship, runs up the ramp, hobbling up the ramp, goes past Sasha Banks to the entrance, and stands there for a minute while Sasha Banks is still coming together after what happened. And then Bayley eventually walks down there. And of course, on commentary, Corey Graves is like, "I knew it! I smell fraud!" So the cracks are coming together. And I think the breakup is going to happen at Payback. I don't know who they're facing at Payback. There's no inclination of who they're going to be facing at Payback with everything that's going on with Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss. I think that's out. So I really don't know. I don't want it to be moronics. And the new and improved Riot Squad doesn't deserve to be in a tag team title opportunity either. Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville are going to be doing something here in a minute we're going to talk about. I don't know what they could be doing. So, Jeff Hardy's backstage as we can move on here with the trainer. The medic says he will clear Jeff tonight as long as he can deal with the pain. Jeff limps around but cuts a promo about saying that he's going to beat the hell out of AJ Styles tonight. Fist bump to the guy and they're done. Kayla Braxton approaches Sonya Deville backstage and asks if she has anything to say in response to what Mandy said earlier. Deville says she has nothing to say to you and will say everything that she needs to the entire world. She turns away and Dana Brooke walks up and apologizes and says, "I'm so sorry for what happened to you this week. If you need anything." And Sonya Deville just says in the most emotionless voice you could ever hear, "It's nothing I couldn't handle." Then slaps so hard Dana Brooke that I'm surprised she still has her bottom teeth. Or her bottom jaw, really. Calls her disrespectful and walks off. Back from break, Sonya Deville comes out to the stage. Deville addresses Mandy Rose and says she heard her earlier and she says she gets it. Rose is second guessing her own talent, her own stipulation. And she knew that's what she was going to do. She's asking, what does Rose want? Deville says Rose will end up facing her one way or another. She can't get around this. They will face each other at SummerSlam, but clearly Rose is bothered about being bald. And everyone knows Deville doesn't care about being bald. So she proposes they up the ante for SummerSlam and says they are going to have a no disqualification and the loser will leave WWE because she realized her hair or no hair, she's sick of looking at Rose's face and tells Rose to wipe her tears and bring her A game, calls Rose a bitch, tosses the mic, and then walks to the back. So, are we not getting... I guess WWE's like, hair versus hair, not the best idea, so we're going to do this instead. I have a feeling the loser of this match, which is probably going to be Sonya Deville, is going to end up being a member of Retribution. I just have that feeling. I have that feeling that they're going to do this because for whatever reason, I think the whole like Mandy Rose and Otis thing has kind of been put on hold. They haven't been seen together really that often since they've come back. So I have a feeling that they put that on hold, and we're going to figure that out sometime later. But yeah, Mandy Rose versus Sonya Deville, no disqualification match. Loser leaves WWE, because I don't see WWE wanting to let either one of these women actually leave. They're going to turn out being a member of Retribution. I just see that coming. That's going to be the main roster star of Retribution, is the loser of this match. I have a feeling. I don't see why you would do a loser leaves WWE unless somebody's actually wanting to leave. And I've never heard, other than what's going on with Renee Young, and we'll talk about that on Sunday, I haven't heard or seen anything about one of these two women leaving soon. I don't know. Just a thought right there. So we had a package between the Fiend and Bray Wyatt, Braun Strowman with Alexa Bliss's involvement. And then we go back to Nikki Cross, who's sitting in a chair. She looks very worried. Says she talked to Alexa. Her and Bliss have been friends for a while now. And she talked to her on Tuesday, but something seemed off and different. She talks like Alexa Bliss, she acts like Alexa Bliss, but the Alexa she knows is warm, funny, and kind. And the person she spoke to on Tuesday is not that Alexa Bliss. That scares Nikki majorly. She just has a feeling something terrible is about to happen. We do not see Alexa Bliss on this show outside of course, the video package of what's happened with her being involved. So who knows what's going to actually be happening going into SummerSlam. I'll predict that in a bit. Cole hypes the Fiend versus Strowman at SummerSlam. Intercontinental Championship match, AJ Styles versus Jeff Hardy. This match, why is it not on SummerSlam? Another thing that should have happened on SummerSlam, but we will know, I think I know why it wasn't on SummerSlam, because WWE has no fucking ability to build to SummerSlam. They realized as well, a few weeks before SummerSlam, that, oh shit, AJ Styles doesn't have a match. Hell, we have a week to go. We're going to be in the Amway Center for the Thunderdome. And we still ain't got a match for AJ Styles at SummerSlam. So what do we do? Why, we have Jeff Hardy get injured, have a brace on. AJ Styles go for the Styles Clash. Jeff Hardy taking the braced knee backwards and hitting AJ Styles with the brace, even though that the hard part of the brace is on the front, on the sides, not on the back. But anyway, hitting the Twist of Fate, going up, hitting the Swanton, 1, 2, 3. Jeff Hardy is your new Intercontinental Champion, leading to a gripe by AJ Styles because he got screwed, leading to a rematch at SummerSlam, because this is the only booking style WWE has. Lazy, uncreative, bullshit booking. So WWE decided, instead of coming up with a chance to have somebody go up against AJ at SummerSlam and having a big built-up match, we're going to have a rematch between AJ Styles and Jeff Hardy, with most likely Jeff Hardy losing, and then we go to Payback for another rematch. This is what we're going to do. We're going to hot potato this title. Like, I don't know what's with AJ Styles and winning secondary titles, because the first time he won the US title, he won it on a house show, then lost it right away, then won it back, and now here we are again. He's won the Intercontinental title. He's going to lose. He lost it tonight. He's probably going to win it back at SummerSlam, then maybe lose it at Payback. I don't know. This is what you have for Jeff Hardy and AJ Styles. When these two could go out there and give you a pay-per-view quality match on Smackdown, this was the best you had for them. Give me a fucking break. This is the best you could do? My goodness. After the match, the music hits. The referee hands the title to Jeff Hardy. He's still trying to recover. He go to replays. Caleb Braxton interviews Hardy from the ring. Hardy would have said you were crazy if you told him a year ago that he was going to be winning the title again, because he was in a dark place and he didn't know if he's going to find his way out of that. He says life is always challenged, but he stands tonight with a painful knee, but more importantly, hope. Hope that things will get better for everyone who struggled. He tries to talk some more, but his music just starts playing up. I don't know if Kevin Dunn was like letting him know that, hey, we're running short on time. I don't know. But Jeff Hardy is your new Intercontinental Champion. I bet you Talking Smack tomorrow is going to have the announcement that Jeff Hardy will defend his title against AJ Styles at SummerSlam. We see Ramblin' Rabbit and Huskus the Pig Boy from the Firefly Funhouse. That is next. Back from break before him, we see AJ Styles backstage with Kayla. AJ Statistician, played by, of course, Joseph Park, is also there. AJ rants and raves that he's furious about losing the title. Says Jeff cheated to win with the knee brace. So, again, he's going to go, he's going to bitch, he's going to complain, and he's going to get a title rematch this Sunday. They're going to have a match. Jeff's going to lose by nefarious means, most likely, and then we're going to have a rematch at Payback. WWE's lazy-ass booking. We go to another must-see edition of the Firefly Funhouse. Wyatt says because, come here, come closer. I got something I got to tell you. I love you. Ugh, just weird to hear that. But he goes on about how love is, it can be good, but it can also be very bad. Tell me about it. Wyatt takes a mystery phone call he puts his glove on. He puts the hood glove on, he puts it to his ears, and he's talking on a phone. And he says that love can bring you pain and suffering. Just ask Braun Strowman and Alexa Bliss. If you don't believe me, here's some proof. The Firefly Funhouse Theater presents Alexa and Braun Strowman. So we see Huskus the Pig Boy playing Braun with a shirt that says "Get These Hooves." If that doesn't become a t-shirt from WWE, they're missing a big opportunity. And of course, you have Ramblin' Rabbit dressed up like Alexa Bliss. They try and do a somewhat reenactment of what happened between them last week, except instead of getting all angry and stuff, they make up. Bray Wyatt comes in and says, "Cut! What the heck is going on here? That didn't happen at all." Tells them to get lost. Says love can only lead to pain and suffering, being I know how that feels. The best thing we can do is be more like him. We see flashes of being, and he cannot wait to get his hands on Braun. He starts to talk, but then he starts sniffing and looking up with his eyes closed, and he's like, "What took you so long?" Then Braun Strowman comes in and pounds on him, and off camera he's supposedly hitting Bray Wyatt. Says, "I'm not done with you yet." Drags him by his feet, and we go to commercial break. Back from break, the announcers are talking about they're trying to get cameras together of a big brawl happening backstage between Bray Wyatt and Universal Champion Braun Strowman. They wonder how Strowman was able to get into the Firefly Funhouse, something most people can't do. Cameras finally cut to the backstage, and this was just terrible. From here on out, this was fucking awful. So they brawl for a bit. We get to the loading dock area. Braun Strowman has Bray Wyatt goozled up. He goes to chokeslam, and people in the back is like, "No, Braun, don't do it. No, no, no." Braun looks back, smiles, and then from the camera view, we see from the outside of the dock, we see Braun Strowman lift up Bray Wyatt and throw him to silence. You don't hear a thing. You don't hear anything. I'm sorry, if Braun Strowman was going to throw Bray Wyatt into anything that wasn't a mat, you would have heard something. We didn't hear anything. Then we turn the camera, and Bray Wyatt's laying there on his side, dead. He's not moving one iota. So officials rush down. The camera person goes around and gets down there too. They bring an ambulance in. They load Bray Wyatt up. And then they get him in the ambulance. The ambulance slowly starts to go away. It stops. Obviously, you see the smoke coming into the ground, into the back of the thing. This is Kane all over again. When Kane had his knee injury, when they had that phony knee injury a couple years ago, when it was Seth Rollins being the Authority's little pet. Remember that when Kane was attacked and had his knee blown out? Then he gets put into an ambulance. They drive away for a second. They hard stop. Red smoke just starts coming up. The demon cane comes out. He's limping for a second. He stomps his foot down, and he's back to being the devil's favorite demon. They did the same exact fucking thing here. What did you think happened next? Smoke fills up as they're pulling back. You have, what the hell is his name? Sitting there, he's like, you're going the wrong way. And then the fucking lights turn red. He's like, whoa, shoot. They back up. We turn back to back towards the ambulance, and there is the Fiend. And the Fiend looks down in the camera, and they've added this to the Fiend, sticks his tongue out, and starts laughing. And that is how SmackDown went off the air. The Thunderdome. That is how SmackDown ended. Are you kidding me? That was terrible. The Thunderdome you could have all the bells and whistles to a show like this. If the creative isn't any better, then it doesn't mean a damn thing. It was terrible. Absolutely terrible. This entire show sucked. AJ Styles losing to Jeff Hardy 2 days before SummerSlam is lazy fucking booking. It's a lazy, cheap way to get the title match on SummerSlam. But it is what it is, and we'll have to see what happens there. SmackDown, Thunderdome, lame as shit. But that is all for the SmackDown review. We will get to the SummerSlam preview and predictions here in a second. Talk about SummerSlam 2020. We're going to be from the Amway Center in Orlando, Florida, the Thunderdome. As they say, no tagline is you'll never see it coming. Unless there's going to be a heel turn or two, or there's going to be a massive return that we don't know yet. Why are we getting this show like this? Why the tagline, you'll never see it coming? Well, let's talk about these matches. The Street Profits versus Andrade and Angel Garza, Raw Tag Team titles. As we know, the storyline going into this is Zelina Vega poisoning Montez Ford. Why? Because she could. So, I think that we're going to get new tag team champions. Why? Because, why the hell not? I honestly don't see any reason to care about the tag team champions on either brand. They have no meaning, really. So I'm going with Angel Garza and Andrade. Apollo Crews versus MVP for the United States Championship. Apollo Crews has brought it back to an even keel because the Hurt Business have to be backstage. Now, with MVP trying to get in the head of Cedric Alexander, I'm calling this right now. Cedric Alexander is going to come down, screw Apollo Crews, and MVP is going to be your new United States Champion. Because it only makes sense that WWE is trying to take everybody that Paul Heyman was making into a somewhat star, and just destroy them completely. That's exactly what's going to happen. Apollo Crews loses to MVP. Dominic Mysterio versus Seth Rollins in a street fight. This one is definitely going to be interesting. I say Dominic's going to win. Because why would you have him lose his first match? And it's going to be Rey Mysterio helping him. As Rey Mysterio said, he's going to be in Dominic's corner. So I'm going with Dominic winning this one. Sasha Banks versus Asuka, Raw Women's Championship. Bayley versus Asuka, SmackDown Women's Championship. Lumping these two together, for the simple fact is, I don't see Asuka losing I don't see Asuka losing both of these matches. Bayley took the loss on Monday. Bayley took the loss tonight. I'm going to say Sasha Banks is going to be the one to lose her championship because she's still a SmackDown superstar while Asuka is a Raw star. So I'm going with Asuka over her. Bayley is going to retain her championship by hook or by crook. Sasha Banks is going to help Bayley retain her title, whereas Bayley is going to hinder Sasha Banks from retaining her title. And then at Payback, we could have Asuka versus Shayna Baszler, which is the match we should be getting on Sunday. Mandy Rose versus Sonya Deville, apparently now a no disqualification loser leaves WWE match. This one is a toss-up again, as I figured it was going to be before it became a loser leaves WWE match. I have heard nothing. I have not seen anything. I'm going to throw this one out there that I think it's going to be Sonya Deville. And I think Sonya Deville is going to be one of the women behind Retribution in the end, which is going to make no sense in the beginning. But I just have a feeling that is what we're going to see. We're going to see Sonya Deville lose. And when they reveal everybody who's a part of Retribution, Sonya Deville is going to be one of them. Braun Strowman versus The Fiend Bray Wyatt Universal Championship match. I'm going with The Fiend on this one. And with the warning that we got from Nikki Cross that something bad is about to happen, I think The Fiend wins because Alexa Bliss helped. Alexa Bliss screwed Braun Strowman. How? I don't know, but I just feel like that they're bringing Alexa Bliss into this. They have Nikki Cross saying that she's not the same Alexa Bliss that she's known for as long as she has. It just feels like there's going to be something that happens that ends Braun Strowman with the Universal Championship because of Alexa Bliss. And that leaves Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton. Randy Orton has been doing some great work as a heel. And I just so wish I could say that Randy Orton is going to lose to make Drew McIntyre a bigger name, but I know that's not going to happen. WWE has bigger plans for Randy Orton versus Edge at WrestleMania for the WWE Championship, and that's where they're going. Randy Orton's going to win the championship, and he's going to hold it till WrestleMania. And the question I have, who's it going to be to take? Who's going to be the ones to challenge him after Drew McIntyre? I don't know. It's going to suck to see Drew McIntyre go from being this champion since WrestleMania to, after he's done with Randy Orton, losing to Randy Orton, they're going to pretty much do nothing with him after, of course, a rematch. But those are my SummerSlam predictions. I'm going with Garza and Andrade for the tag team titles. MVP over Apollo Crews, Dominic over Seth Rollins, Asuka over Sasha Banks, Bayley over Asuka, The Fiend over Bray Wyatt. The Fiend over Braun Strowman, Mandy Rose over Sonya Deville, and Randy Orton over Drew McIntyre. But that is everything for this Smackdown / SummerSlam preview and predictions. Hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video. Find me on Twitter at The France Club. Find me on twitch.tv/The France Club. Find me on Instagram at The France Club. And I will see you guys tomorrow for Saturday Night AEW. Until then, my name is The France, and I'll see you guys later.